you get from like Mike or other people working. Tim's been around forever. He's evolved, I think, the most out of all of us because of the work he did on Trouble with Girls in the late 80s, early 90s. I know editors right now.
Yeah. We're going to delete that.
Ixnay with the girls' aid.
I can't believe that this is the same Tim Hamilton now, the way he's drawing and approaching comics than 15, 20 years ago. But you know what? That's how it should be. You know, if you get stuck doing the same style, maybe, you know, unless everyone loves it and you really love doing it, I can't imagine. Like, I'm very proud when I can look at something a year ago I did and go, man, I drew that and that was okay and it got published.
Well, Dean and I worked for the same company when we first started.
That's right.
I didn't know Dean then, but
yeah.
he did a book for Malibu called The Verdict.
No, Eternity Comics, I did The Verdict. And I think Trouble with Girls was Eternity.
Yeah. But it's always a sign you're making progress when you look at stuff that you were doing 6 months ago and you wince a little and you go, oh, you know, I know I can do better now. And that's always a sign that you're you know, in a fertile environment and changing your perspective a little. There's only so much of that you can do in your studio at home. We were talking a little bit ago that that's one of the main things about the studio is coming in and working in an environment where everybody's working on a real wide range of material.
So like,
not really done a lot of mainstream stuff. The my limited series that I did through Dark Horse was creator owned. So that was my own character, actually, Pubo. Oh. And then I got a Zurich grant for self-publishing a black and white anthology called Vox, and I did 4 of those, and those were collected as a trade paperback by Absence of Ink. So this is actually set in pre-Revolutionary War Boston, but I think there's a lot of room in comics for historical fiction. It's one of the things that really lends itself to you know, all ages readers. To you get a real visual sense of where you are and the characters and historical figures involved. History's a big interest of mine anyway. There's another project I'm working on. Really, sort of the main project right now is about kids in the French Resistance during World War II. So you know, I jump, and then another graphic novel I'm going to be doing about Abraham Lincoln. So it's like, you know, 3 different centuries.
Yeah.
You know? And it's a total of 5 graphic novels scattered over 3 different centuries. So it's going to be a lot of fun.
It's a lot of fun.
And it is. It's a wide range of material, and the research is half the fun. And of course there's webcomics. I was one of the flagship members of Activate, and I'm doing an ongoing series at Activate called Vulcan and Vishnu, which is sort of a combination of Cats and Jammer Kids meets Indiana Jones. Nice. And they're just a couple of guys running around the landscape trying to keep from getting killed and trying to find stuff that got stolen. The thing I've done with that, 2 things, is that instead of a page, it's the same size frame every time.
Yeah.
I should have brought some of that material with me today. But, and that really is a challenge in terms of controlling the pacing and the design.
Yeah.
But the other thing I like to do with that is, one idea was that eventually it was going to get reduced down to like a podcast. Mm-hmm. So it would be something that would be on an iPod, really, you know, international postage stamp size. So to my mind, you can't really do a lot of lettering on one of those things, you know, because you can't read it that small.
Yeah.
So the idea was to do it wordless. And even when the characters speak to each other, they speak in pictograms. So it's all pictures. Mm-hmm. And that's made for some challenging storytelling things. You know, I've got to figure out how to get the idea across. One guy's trying to tell the other guy about a danger or where he sees the gold, and they've got, and figuring out how to really make the communication clear to the reader without using words is a real trick. Yeah. A lot of the more traditional cartoonists have gotten into webcomics. Yeah. You know, I know that some people who used to do traditional you know, floppies or monthlies and then collect a trade have stopped doing the monthlies and just are doing straight webcomics to start with, and then going straight to trade. And they're just bringing what they know and love to a new delivery system. The neat thing about it is it's cheap publishing, and you can get a lot of eyes on your stuff in a short amount of time if you've got a nice hook.
Yeah. I think what was one of the impetuses for launching something like Activate, because okay, so I'm working on a 131-page graphic novel right now, that only an editor, the writer, and maybe the people in the studio and my girlfriend sees, right? And that's gonna take a year to produce, and then 6 months to market it and get it printed and all that stuff. And then hopefully I'll get some reviews and some feedback. That's a year and a half. What was great about Activate, one of the great things, is that it's a blog culture.
So
So
instant feedback.
you're posting comics weekly, if you can, or regularly, and then you're getting instant feedback. And to me, that was so infectious, and that was just as valuable as any kind of currency you can get for work. And I think that was really important. And again, I think that's what helped lead to needing to have a live studio with other people.
It turns into performance art. It's like music or acting. It's like there's not often in graphics art where you get a chance to actually perform in front of a live audience.
It's
almost
true.
what's happening here.
Before I leave my house.
The studio as well, to a certain extent, because we're all kind of like upping our game a little bit here. There's a certain amount of
Absolutely.
competition here,
Absolutely.
which is good.